I want to share this, and yet I can never get this. I thought I'd be able to share this from my, oh, look at that, it's much better. Greetings and salutations, guys and dolls. This is Basta Luna, and I wanted to get into it, and I just had a little PSA that I wanted to share with you today, particularly concerning what I was witnessing on my timeline this morning. So, I guess I'll be sharing this in the other groups after I finish. Okay. So, I hope everybody is good today. I am going to make sure to, I'm not good with walking and chewing gum at the same time sometimes, so I'm going to leave the messages off so I can be focused in my message. But we're going to talk about propaganda today. Yay. So my timeline was a little crazy this morning, and mind you, when I established this particular profile, because I had another profile under my government name, but when I established Basta Luna, I wanted to make sure that my timeline was filled with people who are more so on the spiritual walk, the same as myself, that I was like cultivating an experience on Facebook that was positive. It's not always going to be positive, but generally speaking, pretty positive, and with like-minded individuals who are independent in thinking. And while it started off that way, it seems that with all that we've got going on, and it's understandable, right now we are under a tremendous amount of change, and with the pandemic and the social disturbances, the racial disparities that are coming to light and whatnot. So 2020 is simply the year of 2020 vision, meaning everything that we have been kind of hiding behind the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz, the wizard from the Wizard of Oz is now being shown to us. The curtain has been thrown back, and we are seeing in the light of day all that has kind of, culminated over the years since the beginning. So what I'm also starting to see are people really subscribing to a lot of misinformation, or you can call it disinformation. Both of them works. But what is misinformation? It is false or inaccurate information that is deliberately intended to deceive people. The thing about being on a spiritual walk is that when you decide to walk away from organized religion as you know it, you start to exercise a means of sovereignty and critical thought, meaning you are no longer subscribing to what was told to you all of your life And now you are examining what all the information that's out there, because let's be real. A lot of religious doctrine only points to one way of thinking and one realm of teaching, and everything outside of that realm is demonized, if you will. You are not supposed to look outside of that one particular doctrine. It's dogma. So when one decides to take on a more spiritual plane, you are no longer just looking at that one doctrine. You are looking at a number of different truths, and you might find that, a whole other path is more so your truth than what you were specifically taught all your life from the one religious doctrine. Anyway, I say all that to say that woke book. There's such thing as being too woke. So woke that you are insomniacs, if you will. You have not gotten any sleep. You have subscribed to so many different rabbit holes that you are no longer putting things in perspective the way that they require. Now, another thing that sovereignty teaches us is that we have to be balanced in our thinking. We have to employ critical thought. We've got to employ discernment. And that's not something that I'm seeing right now. I'm seeing an upheaval of people who are subscribing and sharing all kinds of wild shit on the internet that literally does not make any sense, has no substantiation, and does not feed anybody. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't, there's no real there's no value in it, right? So let's get into the site that, like, okay, a lot of people that are sharing these memes and these discourses and all of these wild ass ideas tend to be the same ones that are also talking about how Facebook can be so how they can really be oppressive in one's expression. But it's not everybody's expression. It's only specific people, namely Black folks. So I've seen people, get 30-day bans, and that's the reason why it's kind of important to even have like more than one account, because you never know how you just talking about something and saying something that is against, Facebook policy can get you banned and stifled, and they will take you off the air. Now, let's look at exactly how they are, how they're conducting themselves, right? Because if, like, I've seen some person talking about, how they were attacked. I guess for having some, they got into a discourse and they were going back and forth, and the discourse got a little heated or whatever, words are exchanged, and Facebook literally swooped in and cut off and banned for 30 days or 3 days or whatever the person who was pretty vocal about their experience, and a lot of it has to do with the Black experience, especially when it comes to like the social, the racial disparities that are coming to the surface. I mean, there's a lot of discourse being had. Some of it is really good, some of it is constructive, but then you never know how Facebook will sit there and discern whether your discourse is actually valid and is meant to be shared on their network, right? Now, at the same time, you have like a whole bunch of memes and things like that, and this is one that that stuck out, that I just saw earlier this morning. Someone shared that Michelle and Barack Obama are gay pedophiles that bought their children from this couple, and they put a picture on this couple that pretty much looked like the Obamas and looked like, their kids. Now we have to ask ourselves, if you're sharing this information, doesn't it mean that you're kind of like endorsing it in any way, shape, or form? Now, a lot of people will say, oh, well, what do you think about this? And then you go into the comments, and they're not just asking a question like, we want to see what your thoughts are. They're literally endorsing that information. Now, let's go back to propaganda. And the history of propaganda in this country is something that we can't not consider. We've had historic propaganda, and I'm just going to speak on Black folks right now because I'm Black and, I'm pretty familiar with the experience. But this is applicable to everybody, to women, to men, to just whatever. But historic propaganda, Black people evolved from apes, right? Black men are violent, yeah? Black women don't feel pain. All of these things that not only have been circulated, but that people have actually brought into their psyche and are employing, and it's the way, and it comes out in the way that we regard each other. It comes out when, as far as like Black women don't feel pain. I mean, that's the reason why. And you can actually substantiate how the healthcare industry has really, really disregarded the experience of Black women, and the reason why the birth rates are a lot lower on our end, because we are literally dying giving birth, and this is supposed to be the first world country. But it all goes back to, and you can look at academic doctrines stating that doctors have been programmed to have that mindset towards us, right? So this is propaganda, and this is what this propaganda is not new. This is something that has been employed by not only us, but all across the globe, all around the world. And how we used to carry it is that, the U.S., good old U.S. of A, are, we stand for liberty and the pursuit of happiness. And so all of these other countries that have all these dictators and that they are stifling they don't have the liberty of, free speech and this and that and the third. We were doing the same thing. okay? We were employing the same tactics, but it was as like dog whistles, or it was like, you know, fear mongering, all these things. This is nothing new for us. So, here we are in the state of tech, in the age of technology. We've got this whole big social, you know, atmosphere of social media. Facebook has told us over and over and over again. We can look at the articles and you know, and how Zuckerberg has decided to support and you know, quote unquote free speech. But how free is our speech if, you know, some of us of color who are speaking our truth gets banned for it? How free is it actually? And then you have to look at, so, you know, what is being promoted and what is being banned. And that means that you're kind of like pushing a propaganda, yeah? So, and again, I experienced it myself. So I was like responding to, it was a post about I don't know if you guys watch Tiger King, Carol Baskins, and you know, that bitch Carol Baskins. There's like a literal meme. There's a meme for everything, but there is definitely a meme for that bitch Carol Baskin. All over the place. It's, you know, but so there was like something that went on between Cardi B and Carol Baskin, and I was quoting the meme that is freely circulating Facebook. That bitch Carol Baskin is da 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 da. And when I pressed send, there was a notification from Facebook that automatically said, it looks like you're using bullying language. Perhaps you want to edit your statement. So I saw what it was and I was just like, you know what, fuck it. And I just put that bitch, and I didn't, you know, name Carol Baskin, and it slid on through. So, but at the same time, if you look at like a lot of, you know, right-wing groups and things like that, you know, their free speech is free. It's all over the place. It's not hard to find. It's pretty easy, by the way. So going back to Woke Book, as that person who so, you know, liberally and, you know, at every turn will talk about the sheeple and how people are, you know, who are subscribing to, you know, religious doctrine and, you know, oh, y'all are sheep and y'all are asleep and y'all need to wake up and this and that and the third. And then you, in the same spin, are circulating all of these memes and that, I mean, have you actually vetted that information outside of maybe watching a YouTube channel? Where are your channels? Where are your receipts? Because here's the thing. I grew up as a conspiracy theorist. My father is a retired aerospace engineer. He worked on many different occasions as a contractor for the U.S. government under Boeing and, you know, a lot of different companies. They had him working on a lot of top secret information. and on a lot of top secret projects. And while they're very, very, the government is extremely smart about how they keep everybody, segregated in the parts that they're playing and the things that they're designing. And so a lot of the times the engineers don't necessarily know all of what they're working on. They are working on one specific part. And my dad used to build motherboards for different things. Well, one day he came home and like I said, we used to talk all the time about, yeah, you got to keep your eyes on it on the government, because not everything that is presented to you is all that you are seeing. Not everything that's presented to you is all there is. There's a whole lot more, and there's a lot more that does not necessarily serve us, but they're doing it anyway. So, and we used to talk about that, but he would never actually, get into specifics, except for the one time he came home and he was just broken. And I'm just like, well, what's going on? What happened was that day they gave the engineers that was working on a specific project a peek at the whole of what they were working on. So he was working on this one project, and he was building a motherboard for this specific thing, and it was on, it's to have like a specific function, but you don't, because it's the government, you don't know all that it is for, that it's built for. You're just doing your job and your job only, that's it. Well, they gave them a demonstration, or they showed them a demonstration of this big project that they were working on. And what he found out was that he was working on a new means of hold on, what happened? Okay, I don't know. He was working on a new means. It was like some sort of a machine or whatever that the Army had commissioned Boeing to dispel mustard gas. And then they showed what the mustard gas actually does to people. He didn't say what he did, what he saw, but it made him cry. He was in tears. He was like broken, because he never wanted to contribute to something that was that destructive. And yet he did. And a lot of people are, people who are military, people who are, and I will never, speak ill of our, vets and people who choose to serve. They are trying to serve a higher purpose. Sometimes it's because they don't have another option, and they are just doing what is best for them at the time. But it is not an easy job, and they don't make it easy. It's not supposed to be, really. But it's it's one of those functions that you have to not have critical thought. You just have to do what you're told. All right? And a lot of people who step away from it, they're affected. And a lot of times it's not in a positive way. So I'm going off on a tangent, but it's all about, again, propaganda and, how things have worked against us on a psychological scale. And, it had been shown, and mind you, now let me just dispel this right here, right now. This is not a political, I'm not being political right now at all, because honestly, I really don't subscribe to any of the political parties. But I will say that, oopsies. I will say that I do not agree with the current administration at all. And I feel like whatever the fuck we have to do to change things and get it out, get and get somebody else at the helm, it's better. But with that said, I see a lot of people also who are just like, no, it's not going to change. And, Biden and Kamala, I mean, like, they're like completely going off about like, oh, Biden's record and Kamala's record and this and that and the third. Well, shit. Look who's in the office right now. Are you regarding all the bullshit that he's got behind him? Now, if you're not in agreement with it, that's up to you. But if you are in agreement with it, that's your business. I don't know what to say. But a lot of us aren't. But at the same time, while we are yapping and doing all of this talk about like, oh, well, this is bullshit and this is bullshit and everything, but then at the same time, you are feeding their misinformation that they are literally circulating. Make it make sense. You are being used. Just like how you look at people that people just love to laugh at. Oh, you're in the church and you're this and you're that, and you can't, you're just being a sheep and this, not, and the third. Where'd the information come from that from that meme that you decided to share? Can you discern where that came from? Was it someone that like one of your homies or whatever? Are you guys all in agreement? And again, where are the receipts? I'll go back to say that, yes, I have always been a conspiracy theorist, but guess what? I've only subscribed to a conspiracy that I've seen receipts for because I've been taught to do so. It's actually something that's just innate in me anyway. I am a researcher. I will dig shit up, and it's not just about listening to a YouTube channel, because there are a lot of people that don't know their asses from a hole in the ground on YouTube with no receipts, but they have all of this talk time. You have to really question your own motives sometimes. If you are on this walk of spirituality and you consider yourself to be of sovereign, a sovereign person, which means that you are not, you don't have to follow a specific doctrine. You are independent. Why not employ independent thought? Are you really employing independent thought by mimicking what you see? There is a mania of pedophilia that is being circulated on the internet right now. Nobody is denying the fact that pedophilia exists and it's repugnant. Nobody's denying the fact that sex trafficking is here and it's repugnant. And guess what? It's all around us. However, it's equally repugnant to put that shit on people who have not shown that they were actually involved in shit like that. Meaning, except for, memes that are being passed around. Do you understand that it's not all about what's circulating on the internet? Somebody can put anything together and, Photoshop is real. You can do all kinds of, magic and circulate it around, and it could look real as shit. Like, look at the there's, I can't even remember what it's called, but it's like a little, it's a little like shit, I can't remember. It's like a gram, like a birthday gram, if you will, where you can put people's faces on and they're like dancing like little elves or whatever. Did that person actually dress up as a fucking elf and decide to dance around and sing happy birthday? No. It's software. We don't necessarily believe that that's what's happening. It's just a cute little, thing that makes us smile, makes us laugh. But why is it that you are so easy and so quick to associate people who, again, they don't have any, there's no real paperwork to trace them back. Like, I'm gonna tell you, our president has paperwork on many lawsuits and charges of sexual assault. Have you listened to the man talk about his daughter? I mean, So, but we are choosing to not necessarily look at that, but we are going to take, all kinds of memes and shit and just like run with it. Just run with it. That's not independent thought, y'all. It isn't. And I really, really need for you guys to understand that we are kind of like under a psychological warfare right now. It's more important than ever for you to employ your critical thought, to not be a sheep, to not be a channel to spread the disinformation. Now, mind you, it's important to call attention to certain things like sex trafficking. Listen, as a parent, nothing disgusts me more, and nothing makes me more fearful than knowing that I've got young human beings who could possibly be targeted. I take it seriously. But at the same time, I am not subscribing to the mania of just like going down the rabbit holes and taking in all the shit that is being, spewed. You know what it does? It takes you away from what is really important, what is really happening in front of our eyes. Why? Because you are so focused on what that Michelle and Barack are gay pedophiles that bought their kids. Like, the train is on fucking 150 miles an hour, and people are just leaping on, you know, because it's easy, right? It's not so easy to employ and actually sit there and question, what is this? Where did it come from? Who sent this? Who's dispersing this? Is it important for me to share? Do I want to be that channel of information? Because I'm telling you, it's got you guys looking crazy. Some of you guys who are getting into that. Now is not the time, you guys. We are really dealing with traumas here. All of us. From the economic standpoint, the disruption of our income, our job flow, the not knowing, like if your housing is stable, if you're going to be protected. And then not to mention, this information, this election that's coming up is a lot. You have to be protective of yourselves. You have to be specifically critical of yourselves. Don't allow yourself to be manipulated, because it's like a mass manipulation. Are you really sovereign if it's so easy for you to be manipulated? You must ask yourselves this, guys. You must discern this. This is part of the shadow work that comes with spirituality. Do the work. And be discerning. Use your discernment. Seriously. I also wanted to basically, there was an article on propaganda from Psychology Today .com. I will post the link in the chat if you guys want to look at it. But it started with a really, really notable quote. If you can't find the sucker at the poker table, 9 times out of 10, you're it. Don't be the sucker. You don't have to be. You're meant for more than that. Don't allow yourselves to get caught up and sucked in and going down rabbit holes. Now, rabbit holes do serve. They do serve us sometimes, because it makes us push deeper. But where are you going to go? What are your resources? If it's going to be a whole bunch of YouTubers that don't necessarily have credentials behind them to substantiate their claims, you might want to think on that, right? So I am going to stop babbling, and I'm going to just close it out with just saying that you guys are better. You guys are better than that. And those who, if you sat there and you've see these things and you just want to share them anyway, and you just don't give a shit, then just say, you know what, I don't give a shit. Because the thing about it is, like, we're a community, so we're listening to each other. And a lot of times people are assuming that you care. But if you don't care, just say the shit. And perhaps you'll find other people who simply don't care either. And so if the whole thing goes up in flames, you decide that you're going to, you know, I saw the funniest shit on somebody posted that I think in Alabama some people are writing Jesus on the ballot and they vote for Jesus. Not sure what that's going to do, right? But once it goes down in flames, did you have a I'm just wondering, like, do you have a contingency plan? Like, you just want the shit to burn up. Okay, I get it. You want the system to, you know, completely turn over on its ear. I'm not mad at that. But what is your plan? Like, do you have a plan? Or are you just going to watch it burn up and then complain about how you are suffering because of it? Because it's going to touch everybody. It's going to touch everybody. Nobody is going to be unaffected. Anyway, I had to say my piece. I know I don't go on here often enough. I do go, you know, teach in Magical Mystic. I'm going to pay more attention to my page too. I'm always working, you know, behind the scenes. But yeah, I need you guys to really, really discern. And if you have any questions, if you have any, if you need like spiritual guidance, spiritual coaching, whatever, it's something that I do, hit me up in my inbox and we can talk about it. Whether I can be assistant, I would be able to assist you or no. But I don't care if it's me. I don't care if it's you know, whomever. Just I want to see growth because you guys are worth it. We're all worth it. So that's it. And you guys be safe and discerning. And I love you. Have a good day.